say good afternoon rather than good evening. It's so bright outside and it's a beautiful day. But thank you very, very much for coming over tonight for the curator and artist talk. We have 6 young Japanese artists here tonight who's going to present you their slides of their works. Actually, they're not exhibiting here, but they're exhibiting at a gallery called Griffin Gallery from 28th May until 11th of July. And we supported this project by giving Daiwa small grants. But I'm not going to talk a long time because we have this beautiful young lady here who is Griffin Gallery director, Becca Pelly-Fry, who's going to go into detail about the exhibition and also the artists. So over to you.
Thank you, Shihoko. So good evening, everyone. My name is Becca. I'm curator and director of a gallery called Griffin Gallery in West London. I'm not going to talk too much either because I think you probably want to hear the artists more than me. But I thought I'd give a little introduction partly to the gallery because some of you maybe don't know about us and have never been there, and partly to this show and how it came about. So the Griffin Gallery has been in existence for about 3.5 years now, and I've been running it for 2.5 of those. It's owned by an international art materials manufacturing company. It's privately owned by a Swedish family, but the gallery sits in our international headquarters in Shepherd's Bush. So we're supported by a huge range of the world's best art materials brands, basically, which including Liquitex. The reason I mention that is because the reason that we have 3 young artists from Japan here with us is that we have a partnership with a Japanese company called Bonnie, and for the last few years they've been running a prize called the Liquitex Art Prize Japan. And 2 years ago, the winner and runner-up were Ichasu and Yuka, who are here with us today, and last year the winner of the prize was Keisuke, who is also here. So as part of their prize, they were given the opportunity to exhibit with us at Griffin Gallery. I was sitting on the panel, so I was involved in choosing who the artists were. And I decided it would be really interesting to pair up these young emerging artists from Japan with some more established artists, Japanese artists who've been living and working in London for the majority of their careers. So just to kind of basically have a look at the differences, if there were any, and I wasn't sure if there would be, but it turns out that there are lots of differences, and hopefully you'll see that as they start to talk. And to kind of have a bit of a discussion about cultural displacement as well. I'm trying to understand how coming halfway around the world, away from everything that you know, affects you and your practice and the way you live and the way you make artwork as an artist as well. So that's really the premise for the exhibition. So we have 6 fantastic people here, and they're all going to talk for a short time about their own practice. And then I've got some images to show you as well, and then at the end I'll bring them all forwards and we'll have a little conversation around that idea of cultural displacement and how it affects you as an artist and as a human being, actually. So we're going to start with Yukako.
Should we close
Good evening, everybody. My name is Yukako. I'm one of the. Let me just bring images. I'm one of 3 artists who lives in London. Actually, I've been living in London for the past 20 years, so London is my home. Okay, I would like to mention that this image here is exhibition image from exhibition at Daiwa Foundation. I had a solo show here in 2008, and I just thought this is appropriate to start with the image from Daiwa Foundation. Okay, I am originally trained as a painter, but soon I kind of started to be more interested in making objects, and creating is a very important part of my practice rather than just paint. This is oil paint on polystyrene covered with plaster, and the size-wise, it's about, as a whole, this installation is about 2 to 3 meters, and the bigger circular form is it's a hemispherical shape, and I'm dealing with nature broadly, distillation and translation of nature in my own way. Let me move on to the next one. Okay. I have an obsession, passion and obsession to circular form, and I make a lot of round objects. And I'm not going to try to explain why, but it's just in the world is full of circular objects, and so as someone who has a passion to circular objects, it's full of treasure in the world. And in these works I explore forms and color, and obviously color means light, so light, shadow, form, everything. I have to be brief. I have small slides. Okay, this is sculpture. It's actually one of the largest sculpture I made. Piece called Connection, and it's sort of a chandelier-looking object. Is hanged in PricewaterhouseCoopers atrium. They have a gallery there. It's unusual for me not to paint. You might not see it, but there is a tinted color, very, very subtle color, maybe just about to recognize. These are, instead of paint, this time I use a tinted plaster. So it's all those balls are made with polystyrene or expanding foam, and making every single spherical shape, and hundreds of them, and took about 5 months, and I filled my entire studio. But when I went to PricewaterhouseCoopers, which is massive, it looked tiny. It was an interesting experience for me to work with such a big organization as an individual artist. Next, I guess that after making lots and lots of circular form, I was sick of it in the end, and I wanted to go to simple objects. And this is a piece called Glow. This is an angle shot, but it's a circle of about 5 foot. Oil paint on steel. I get somebody to make it. Sort of my interest shifted around this time. Never completely changed, but the way I express things has changed, and started to deal with more subtle colors, subliminal color that I find in everyday life, including nature and architecture and neon and everything. So, and that's the detailed shot. What you see, the orange color, that is oil paint, orange color reflected against wall. So there's no light, neon, it's just the color reflecting. And this, again, around this time I started to be interested in, sorry, I can't think of the word. Sort of using a very simple object. This is just a painted wood, but just leaning against the corner of white wall, it just lit up the space. And I tend to have a very site-related approach to work. And when I was given a space to exhibit, I go and see it, and then I think about what can I do. And of course, I will stick to what I have to do, but also I sometimes adapt my work according to space where I show. This is another piece that using a similar kind of I'm not sure if I mentioned that. The orange color that you're looking is a reflected color. So this is 17, I think, MDF panels of about 15 centimeter each panels stuck up together. And the color you are looking at is a reflected color. The one side is painted, the other side is white, and that's why it's sort of it's quite soft and just the tinted colors. So I'm started interested in hiding things rather than showing completely. But as you spend longer, you will sort of see, your eye get used to and tuned into those subtle color, and you will notice more colors and details. And this is sort of all about play and exploration of a simple shape and colors. Just placing a triangle into rectangle, you create 4 triangles, and the negative space become positive with the help of color. There's so many hundreds of different things you can do with simple shape, and I explore those possibilities. Again, I talked about the straight line, the triangle into rectangle. You create more shapes, and the same thing is happening here. 2 V-shaped timber colored at the back, and then you get a tinted color behind. You find more triangles, kind of my color replacing shadow, and more of these very simple. I find just simple lines and angles found very beautiful, and explore in different ways, and that's another piece. And actually, I'm showing this piece in Griffin Gallery. So that's my end of my presentation.
So Keisuke is doing very well learning English at the moment, but doesn't quite feel confident enough to speak in English, so he's going to speak in Japanese, and Chihoko is very kindly going to translate.
My name is Keisuke Katsuki. 日本語でしゃべらせていただきます。すいません。僕が制作している主な作品で、ピクセルペインティングシリーズと呼んでいる作品、絵画群があります。ピクセルペインティング。
So this is one of the collection I'm making, which is a series of pixel painting.
この絵画群は2012年から継続して制作しているもので、描いているイメージは、インターネット上で検索してみることができる絵画のイメージだったり、ありふれたイメージを正方形のフォーマットで切り取って描いたものだったり、モネの睡蓮、こちらも今モネの睡蓮を描いたものなんですが、そういうようなインターネットの検索上で出てくるようなイメージを主に描いています。
So the model of his the original model of his painting is the images where he can Google on the internet, such as Monet, the water lily of Monet, but then he's using the format of squares. 正方形のフォーマットっていうのか。
切り取って描いていたりっていうのを
So he sort of cuts off those square images off the original images, then それを重ねていく感じ。Then he just uses to paint his. これは一つ一つが四角になってるわけですか。
そうですね。そういう構造にはなってます。
So he constructs all those small squares out of the original image, and then reconstruct his own paintings.
そういったモチーフを、液晶ディスプレイの構造を RGB の色彩で、分割して描いています。
色はじゃあコンピューターで作る？
そうです。コンピューターの色にのっとって描いています。
使っているのは絵の具を使う。
はい。
絵の具を使う。He paints his artworks on the basis of RGB, the computer colors.
なぜ液晶ディスプレイを拡大して描くのかというと、自分が実際の作品を見れない環境にいるという、日本にいて見たい作品があっても見ることができない、そういうふうな状況でインターネットで検索したりして見るような、 まあ、その世代的にも僕の世代っていうのはそういうふうな状況が多くあるということ
じゃあインターネットで見たら例えばその有名な人のマスターピースを、液晶ディスプレイの上にどんどんその絵を拡大していくんです。そうするとそれがこうピクセルみたいに見えてくる。そういうイメージでペインティングを作っているところですね。So as Keisuke belongs to a younger generation, the generation which grew up with the internet, then when those people do not have any chance to go to the museums outside of Japan, they can Google and get the image on the internet. Then he can sort of enlarge it until it looks like a pixel. For example, the masterpieces of the great artists, maybe he cannot see the original, but on the screen he can see the great paintings of those masters. And so this is very particularly maybe typical for his generation, the internet art and then the original. So the pixel or the squares is coming from this RGB, the display. But then actually he makes his artwork with acrylic paintings he uses actually.
それが展示の作品、展示会場の作品になっていて、まあ、近くで見ると凹凸がすごく出ていて、そのアクリル絵の具をすごく持って描いている。
So those are his paintings, and maybe you cannot see it by this slide, but if you actually go to this artworks, you can see the 3D, how can I say, it's quite thick. The acrylic paint is kind of quite thickly accumulated.
Squeezes it out from the bottle, so it's
Oh.
like a line of paint.
じゃあもうチューブから直接。
チューブに、まあ、別のチューブに入れ替えて、そこから絞り出すというか。
筆を使うよ。
筆を使う。
So rather than using the paintbrush, he uses special tubes. Not directly from the paint tube, but he uses special tubes. So it's really not two-dimensional, it's more three-dimensional artworks.
それから3枚、自分で見せますが、この3枚は、モネの龍安大聖堂のシリーズから3枚、選んで僕が描きました。
これじゃそのモネの一部をうんと拡大したのはですけども。
全体を、縮小して、それを拡大します。ディスプレイ上で縮小したものを拡大します。
So the original image of this is Monet, but then the original image he makes it really small on computer, then enlarge it again so that you can see the pixel. But this is actually a painting, not that printed out, printed out from the computer. But he uses that image, the pixel image, to paint his artworks.
そのまあ、モネを描いているのは映像とその光と絵画の関係を考えていて、まあ、ディスプレイを見るときにそのディスプレイ自体が光っているわけですから、その状況とその絵画における光の問題っていうのを、まあその関係性を使って描いています。
を表したんですか。He would like to express the relationship between the image on the display and the light and the painting.
I can maybe add to that if you like.
Yes.
So Keisuke is interested in the way that all of our images are mediated through a screen these days. And when you're looking at images through a screen, the light comes towards you, projected back through, so it's colour that's coming towards you, whereas where you're looking in a gallery at a real painting, it's the light reflecting off, so it's coming in, bouncing off the painting, reflecting back, so it's a completely different way of viewing colour. And just to be, in case you haven't quite got it, it's quite difficult to tell. Each of these colours is a little bit of paint, so it's an absolutely meticulous process, lines and lines of paint based on the RGB process.
ちらも、モネの睡蓮の作品で、今回の展示に持ってきているんですが、睡蓮の水面の反射っていうものと、ディスプレイの、その光るものと反射するっていうものとも、関係性を持たせて描いています。
This is one of the artworks he is exhibiting at the gallery from Thursday. But this is Water Lily of Monet. He'd like to. There is a reflection. The original artwork has a reflection on the water surface. Then also there is a. If you see it on the computer screen, then there is a reflection on the display. And then you'd like to sort of he'd like to kind of express the relationship between those two reflections, one on the display, one on the water surface of the original painting.
次の写真が前に拡大したものを解像拡大したもので、こういうふうに立体的なラインが継続して描かれて、こういうふうに像が描かれているような。
So as you can see, this one is the detail. If you go very close, this is how it looks. But then you can see that the sort of slight different colors, and then eventually when you stand back, it looks like the water lily. This, like this.
プロセスを説明しますと、これが実際の作品で、ターナーのライト&カラーっていう作品を描いたもので、こちらが写真、ディスプレイを実際に拡大して撮った写真になります。
これが写真なんですね。
こちらが写真。
これが写真。So this is a photographed image of a enlarged display screen image of Turner. Turner なんですか？
ライト&カラー。
Light and color. And then he makes this into a painting, and then this is the finished his finished product, his painting.
これが大作で、ゲルハルト・リヒターのアブストラクトペインティングの中から一枚描いたものです。
This is also his artwork. これも painting, his painting. The original masterpiece is sorry, Gerhard.
Gerhard Richter.
So this is a close-up.
こちらは4月の終わりに展示した、4月中に展示した東京で個展をやったんですが、
This is his solo show in Tokyo in April. どのぐらい大きいんですか？
一番大きいのその大きさのやつは、2メートル、高さ2メートルの1メートル40幅が。
So the size of that Richter one is 2 meter long and then 1.8 meter wide. 1枚でどのぐらい時間かかります？こういう描く。
大きいのだとやっぱり時間かかるので、大きいので1ヶ月、2ヶ月ぐらいは。
あれで大体2ヶ月ぐらい。So it takes about 1 to 2 months to finish that size. So thank you very much.
Hello, my name is Kazi. So first of all, when I made those two pieces, I was curious about labor in the art. So basically, I bought a statue from the market, and then this is a cast iron statue. And I put magnet on it, so to ask basically like where is your artistic labor. So like I would rather not making, like more discovering some like kind of miracle. And then I framed charcoal in a box frame, and then like while this work delivered to the gallery, the charcoal moves around and makes drawing. So basically, I didn't do anything. Just I had someone to frame. And this is actually I made a box bench in the gallery space, so as a sculpture. But then, like, people assumed it was a bench, and then people sat on it, and then I asked them about actually, no, I didn't ask about. I wrote on a press release like it was art piece and it was project. So when people read, people all of a sudden like, oh, sorry, but nothing wrong with it on sculpture. Well, sculpture also. So like I tried, I was interested in blurring the boundary between art and like just object in the art space. So this is one project. And also I collect lots of objects. So in my studio quite like mess in my studio, and I had off-cut of marble slabs. So I put mirror on it to create 4 triangles. So basically like kind of optical illusion. So it wasn't really like triangle, it's just like rectangular marble slab. And this is I exposed colored tissue to the sun to create kind of geometry. So again, I didn't really make anything, just I waited for a long time to. So, and then the glass is UV, not glass, but UV acrylic. So basically, like I felt interesting because like tissue is protecting acrylic, and acrylic, UV acrylic shut down 99% of UV ultraviolet. So like both are kind of helping each other. So this is like, and yeah, and I quite like this piece, but it's again I didn't really make. But when I was reading fashion magazine under the work table or work lamp, back side of image was overlit, and then like 2 image was overlapped and then created kind of weird figure. So then I found it interesting, so I just taped on my work lamp and then exhibited in the show. And yeah, basically my work is very simple, so like almost one action to create, and always like just assembling my collection of found objects, and then once the show finishes, it returns to object again. So this is again I put prism on the photograph. So then, yeah, photograph changes face. And this is a collage I made, and yeah, this is a found image, and I pinned the image, but I didn't pin in usual place. So I covered the actual image by pins. Then kind of I felt quite beautiful. Yeah.
America glitter. It comes from Japan. So it makes the description of my work. So, 作品一枚一枚を説明するのではなく、一貫してコンセプトは一緒なので、画像は全部ちょっと流して。
I'm not going to give you explanation piece by piece of my artworks, so you're going to see the sequence of my artworks first.
I am very attracted to the sight of, for example, packaged salmon slice you can find in the supermarket. Salmon slice are same place, but each slice is slightly different in its shape. I like seeing things with a tiny difference forming a near line. Salmon slice in my artwork is an object called shake. Not a slice of salmon. Shake is shake. Not salmon, which is the notion I always have in my mind when I work. Moreover, when I paint them in unrealistic form and in unfamiliar way, I find a mismatch in my work, which really inspires my and inspire me. これは私が卒業制作で大学の一番最後の作品で出した作品です。
This is actually the artwork I showed in my degree show at the university.
これでプレゼントを終わります。
So this is the end of my presentation.
Thank you.
My name is Miho Sato. I went to Royal Academy Schools from 1998 to 2001. And before that, I went to City and Guilds London School. And my work is based by drawing. And after I went to see the psychological patient work at Hayward Gallery, so drawing is getting more special to me. So, and I was struggling between what I want to do and what I was doing in the time. I used to collect American and Japanese cartoon images, like a Tom and Jerry and Moomin, and many Disney-like Bambi's. And also Hayao Miyazaki early cartoon. So you see in Sesame Street and these programs every day in 70s. Japanese TV program around like 5-6 o'clock. So the first, this one it's called Troll. The image comes from Margaret's flame image. I cut it out from origami paper and then I collage to look like a hair. And after that, I painted on the board. This one is called Moomin, and there is 3 different Moomins. This is the smallest and the first one painted on cardboard. These Moomins appear different way compared to other painting of mine. I was nearly asleep at night, and suddenly these Moomins appear in my head. So I draw quickly, and next day I start paint. That's why the size is small, and I use the cardboard. I'm quite impatient, so that is one of the reasons to use the acrylics. So this is called college students. So I just want to introduce my work from the part of old quotes from conversation with Jonathan Miles. So it was quite, he wrote about when we spoke, and after my images are derived from magazines and postcards, but often lay dormant for some period when suddenly a remembrance or sense of recognition begins and the image is renewed as the basis of painting. I either work with something that exists for a memory. These images usually have layer of meaning, but are often connected to childhood feelings. They are ambiguous in that what they give rise to are not singular. Cartoon image, magazine image, American Gigolo, Richard Gere in a mirror, looking at himself, David Bowie, androgynous, nothing to do with them, just an image, something that is both attractive but also odd. So they are a cipher for my imagination, emblem of fascination, using references from Gainsborough and Reynolds that used either children or animals. As a child, I received a calendar with these artists, so something had stayed with me. Faces look like dolls. Even animals seem dull to me. So in a way, many of these sources might be form of misrecognition, but it is this off-centered reading that triggers painting in me. So next one is called Monster. It's called paper wristband. I used to go to the gym three days a week. They give you paper wristband every time. Then I had a photocopy image of Man Ray's photograph called Lampshade. So I want to paint something similar. Then I look picture of paper wristband from my iPhone. It's called Julie. Image from French film. It was a funeral scene. The actress was Catherine Deneuve, and she was covered by clothes, and I changed her figure little bit and deleted many things. Untitled. Hole. So this is untitled. I went to see Mark Rothko's exhibition at Tate Modern. There was a last room, black and on gray painting. It was touched my heart. After that, I came back to my studio and took photo of a switch. I started to paint. Corner. School ground. And school ground too. These are all this year's painting. After. Sorry. Oh. Sorry. Oh, I didn't bring one out. I thought I brought one of these, but there isn't. So sorry.
Hello everyone, thank you for coming. My name is Ichas. Okay. あとお願いします。そう、私は日本出身ということもあって、漫画とかアニメとかがすごく好きで、そういう中で育ったので、こういう作品になっています。
Being Japanese, obviously growing in Japanese culture, I have a love for manga and cartoons. So, as you can see from my artwork.
私は描くときに常に対の関係をすごく大事にしています。
my artwork, I try to, how can I say, the pairing of the object is very important theme of my artworks.
これもさっきのとペアで
こう中の人たちがペアじゃなくて作品がペアなんですね。
と中の人同士もペアっていうのすごく大事だし、作品同士がペアにあるっていうこともすごく大事にしています。
So the object within one artwork, as you can see, there is a pair of people fighting with each other, but also the artwork and then another artwork can be paired. So the first one and then the second one is a pair of artworks.
これはタヌキで、こっちがキツネで、日本だと、タヌキとキツネはセット。
This is as you can see, this is a fox. The former animal is what we call tanuki, raccoon dog. I'm not sure if you have raccoon dogs in this country, but in Japan, raccoon dogs and fox are a pair as an animal. And sorry, I'm just adding from my knowledge, but the raccoon dogs and then the fox are both considered to be, how can I say, slightly divine animals or mysterious animals that they can trick you into something strange, especially in the mountain side. In the traditional stories, we have fox and then raccoon dogs. So she paired it.
Sorry. で、なんで対にするのをすごく大事にしてるかというと、人と人が例えばもう一人人間が現れたらそこでやっと関係性が生まれるというか、でそれでそういうなんか新しくコミュニケーションが生まれるっていうのをすごく大事にしているので、常にこれもですね、これはアートプライズで賞をもらった時ので、これもこれとこれが。
So this artwork and then the next one is also a pair, and why she thinks pairing is so important is because even with the people, if you are alone, there is no relationship there. But if you have somebody else, and then if you are a part of a pair, then there is a relationship between you and another person. So pairing in her artwork is very important to create relationship. So this orange one and then another one, the green one, is a pair.
こっちのこれは暑い国に住んでて、で電話をしてそれぞれが連絡を取り合っている。
So she is living in a hot country and making a phone call to a person who lives in a cold country. So they're having a conversation.
そんな感じで漫画みたいな、その漫画を読んでるとかアニメを見てるみたいな、そういうストーリーが含まれているような絵を描きたい。
So there is a story just like you're reading a manga or cartoon or anime. In between those two pairs, one pair of two artworks have a relationship and then creates story.
で、これが、さっきの2枚の締めくくりというか、さっきの2枚があって、その中のキャラクターがこの絵の中で、真ん中でこう連絡を取った後に出会っている瞬間の絵です。
And this is actually the conclusion of those former two artworks, which are a pair. As you can see in the middle, a red creature and then blue creature actually having a meeting. So as a conclusion of those two former artworks, this is the end of the story and the result of the relationship.
で一応自分の中でそういうお話はあっても、見る人が初めて見たときに自分なりに解釈してこれはこうなんじゃないかとか、そういう自分で想像できるような絵をすごく意識して描いてます。
And of course, the audience has their own stories by looking at those three artworks. Audience can make up their stories or can feel something by themselves. So that's what the artist is trying to do.
で、これは、この間やった展示のもので、下書きをすごくちゃんと書くんですけど、それと一緒にキャラクターを展示したものです。
When she makes artworks with color, she does a lot of draft sketching, and this is displayed, the finished artwork and also the draft sketching here.
ちょっと待ってこれ。まあいいか。で、ちょっと見えづらいんですけど、どんなに大きい絵でも私は今まできっちり全部下書きをして、でそのシンメトリックとか対の関係をすごく大事にしてるので、きっちりこうトレースダウンして反転したりとか、結構神経質な仕事が多いですね。
So even when it is a really sort of large artwork, the artist always makes the draft sketching and occasionally rotates it and pay attention to the symmetry pairing. So it is through a rather meticulous process.
で、あとはなんかそういうすごい時間がかかる作業がわーってなって、これは下書きなしで、もうちょっとまだ数あるんですけど、3日で30枚ぐらい描いた時の作品。
Having said that she usually goes through a meticulous process of making draft sketching, this series she is now showing about 30 artworks. 30 artworks without making any draft sketchings, and then she created all those 30 artworks within 3 days.
これは、展示中にホログラムシートにその場で、即興で描いた絵です。
This is what she demonstrated impromptu in front of the audience. In front of the audience on the hologram surface.
で、今回私せっかくイギリスに呼んでいただいて描ける機会があるということで、その今まで几帳面にやってきた仕事とこういった形で即興で描くことのそのちょうどいいところを探るような作品をやりたくて、今回はそういう作品を描きました。
So in Britain, the artist tried to find a place in between a meticulous process and then also the impromptu creation of artwork, and tried to exhibit somewhere in between type of artwork in Britain.
Thank you.
Okay, so thank you everyone. Hopefully everyone has a sense of what the show looks like at Griffin Gallery, which opens tomorrow night. So hopefully you're all free and will all come to the private view tomorrow night. We will be serving sake, of course. So we'll be delighted to invite you all there tomorrow. I just wanted to ask a little bit. I'm probably going to focus more on the London-based artists, because I think what you might have seen from the practice of the 6 artists is that there's quite a distinct difference between those based in Japan at the beginning of their career and those who have chosen to move to London and have been based here for quite some time. And I was really interested in that. So, you 3. So I want to ask actually all individually, for each of you, what was it that brought you to the UK in the first place? Should we start with Becca?
Right, okay. There's a lot of things, but I don't want to sound too romantic, but when I was younger, I wanted to see the world, and I felt that Japan, I felt it's too easy. It's sort of everybody's, middle class, and it's sort of, it felt too easy, and I thought I have to not suffer, but I have to,
To make life difficult for yourself.
yeah, I wanted to do something more difficult and challenging. That's the word I was looking for. And I think at the time I read a magazine and the books that someone recommending going to London, and there's a famous book called Tired of London, Tired of Life, and that sort of thing. And I'm interested in Europe, Africa, and all those. And obviously, English-speaking country was obvious choice, but that was easy choice. But yeah, and any other reason, but that's
Okay. We hope.
After graduated like graphic design, and I was a bit stuck. So I couldn't. I wasn't so happy in there. I love Japan, but so I think my mother suggested if you want to study, and then I applied everything I did, and
You ended up here.
That's it. Yeah.
And Kaz?
I wanted to study, so I came here for my MA. So then, yeah, somehow now I end up being here, and I'm quite happy being
Yeah.
here.
So that was another question I had was, the three of you seem very happy here. You've been here 20 years-ish, that sort of time. Do you see yourself being here forever now? Is this home? Do you miss Japan? Do you want to go back to Japan ever?
London is my home. After 20 years, Japan is a foreign country to me. Yeah, I'd be here, I think.
You'll feel the same? You hope, Kaz?
Oh.
I feel I like here, and but I don't know, maybe anywhere I feel kind of same feeling, like Japan and here, wherever I go, I struggle. So it's kind of, I think it's
hard
probably,
everywhere.
it's not about the place, it's myself. So
Yeah.
I do miss Japan. I think I like Japan more than when I was in Japan. Probably, like, yeah, and I feel, when I was in Japan, I felt I was quite westernized, and but then I came here, I keep kind of finding myself like I'm very Japanese. Yeah, I think it's nice to be abroad to find the good side of my country. I think.
You look back at it better now. Yeah, that's nice. Okay, so I just have a couple of questions for the others. So, Chihoka, maybe you can help? Is that okay? I wanted to ask, and maybe we'll start with Icha, whether you think you're going to stay in Japan, if you think there are enough opportunities in Japan for you as an artist.
日本で作家さん活動してたらこっちにいるのと日本にいるのと比べてチャンスはどう思いますか？日本で活動するのと外に。I think the chances as an artist is greater, perhaps being abroad.
And the same question for you too.
I think it's for an artist, it's perhaps better as a market-wise, because in Japan the art market isn't really sort of established. So being an artist, perhaps it's easier to be active in abroad.
昨日来たのであまり分かりま せんか？
I've just arrived yesterday, so I don't know.
Come on! Fair enough.
こういう機会はあんまり日本では聞いたことがなくはないんですけど、やっぱりこちらの方があるのかなと思います。
Being given a chance like this, trying to exhibit, being able to exhibit in a group show and then having a chance to talk in front of people like this, perhaps I might be having a better chance outside of Japan.